gong, which is popularly referred to as ogene in the southeastern part of Nigeria, is a musical instrument made out of pieces of metal.
Hello and a warm welcome to NTA Nationwide. I'm Olajide Bello. Many thanks for joining us. Starting with the legislature now, the Senate has confirmed the nomination of Stephen Ikani Ocheni from Kogi State and Suleiman Zama Hassan from Gombe State as ministers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Stephen Ocheni was the first to appear before the Senate and was asked questions by senators ranging from indivisibility of Nigeria to youth unemployment.
Would you prefer to the Federal Executive Council to get Nigeria out of economic recession?
Being able to realize enough revenue to be able to actualize the proposals in our budget.
Suleiman Zama Hassan, who had earlier undergone similar screening as an ambassadorial nominee at the Senate committee level, was asked few questions after he was asked to take a bow.
On how the National Population Commission would benefit from this very vast experience and this technology. And of course, INEC, that wants to go digital all the way, could use the remote sensing and land surveying expertise and technology that we have.
The technology has gone further because we have real-time imageries that can even pick people or can pick density of people depending on the software that is used and the satellite imageries that are used. So I think this can be used both by INEC and NPC simultaneously.
The House of Representatives has stressed the need to address what it described as high rates of HIV infection at the internally displaced persons camp in the Northeast. The legislators observed that all the 27 IDP camps in the area should be provided with HIV counseling and antiretroviral drugs. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports.
Recent reports from the Borno State Agency for the Control of HIV and AIDS shows that 512 new cases of HIV infections were recorded at the internally displaced persons camp in the state. Worried by these developments, members of the House of Representatives are now concerned that the rate of sexual abuse in the camps is increasing and needs immediate solution. This came in a motion moved by Representative Aishatu Dokun from Gombe State.
That assessment results showed none of the 27 camps were providing HIV/AIDS awareness campaign, antiretroviral refills, continuous HIV counseling and testing.
One of the issues, again, that needs to be addressed in the Northeast is the issue of psychosocial therapy. Because a lot of people have been so badly traumatized with the challenges of Boko Haram.
Scrupulous camp officials who, in the form of sex, for money, food, and freedom of movement, demand or extort for some services from people that are disadvantaged. Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious matter.
The House mandated its committees on IDPs, healthcare services to assess the problems in the camps and report back to the House in 4 weeks. Official report shows that not fewer than 5,000 internally displaced persons in the 27 camps in Borno State are currently living with the virus. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Niger State High Court has granted bail to former governor of the state, Dr. Muazu Babangida Aliyu, and the PDP gubernatorial candidate in the 2015 general elections, Umar Mohammed Nasko. Mukhtar Abubakar Wowo reports that the accused persons were arraigned for alleged breach of trust, conversion of 2 billion naira to personal use. Dr. Muazu Babangida Aliyu is also accused of separately converting over 2 billion naira belonging to the state government for personal use.
This is the main entrance of the High Court complex, where security operatives checked and allowed only those that are relevant in. In a separate ruling, Justice Muhammad Aliyu Mayaki, after reviewing the submissions of the defense counsel, urging the court to grant bail to their clients, and the submissions of the prosecution, asking the court to deny bail to the accused persons, arguing that they may likely jump bail if granted. The judge agreed with the submissions of the defense counsel and ruled in favor of the applicants. Justice Muhammad Aliyu Mayaki granted bail to the former governor, Dr. Mu'azu Babangida Aliyu, in the sum of 150 million naira, with two surety in like sum, who reside within the jurisdiction of the court and are to deposit certificate of occupancy of landed property worth not less than 200 million naira. Omar Muhammad Nasko was granted bail in the sum of 100 million naira and two surety in like sum with 150 million naira worth of landed property within the jurisdiction of the court.
The judge showed tremendous courage and he also demonstrated good knowledge of the law. I'll reflect on it. I will make efforts towards ensuring compliance with the bail conditions. If we don't succeed, I'll think about it. There are procedures through which one can reapproach the court.
Shortly after the ruling, the prison vans were seen leaving the court premises without the accused persons, an indication that the accused persons perfected their bail conditions. In Mina, Mukhtar Abubakar, NTA News.
Moving on now to security matters, the Nigerian Air Force show of power and commitment towards degrading Boko Haram terrorists in the northeast has again yielded success. A statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Olatokunbo Adesonya, says intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance exercise conducted revealed hideouts of remnants of the insurgents in a village 3.42 kilometers northeast of Mangusum. Battle damage assessments after air interdiction mission also revealed that several leaders and followers of the Boko Haram terrorists were killed and a sizable cache of weapons and equipment were destroyed. Experts on Good Morning Nigeria program advocate the establishment of national structure of curbing proliferation of small arms and light weapons in the country. Timothy Yusuf reports that opinion was unanimous that urgent measures needed to be taken to take arms out of illegal hands.
Nigeria is said to have about 60% of illicit arms and light weapons in West Africa. And guests on Good Morning Nigeria program say domestication of international treaties, as well as the adoption of the ECOWAS recommendation for the establishment of commissions on small arms and light weapons by member nations, are key to addressing the menace in the country.
There is really a difference between a committee and a commission. Committee cannot have the powers and the resources available to a commission. If you have a commission, you are more in compliance with ECOWAS prescription on the issue. So the reason we do not have a commission in Nigeria at the moment is not because there is a lack of will, it's rather that the law is not yet in place, and we are working on it.
Without an appropriate legislation, certainly this fight will continuously be a fight that will keep doing it. So it's important that we domesticate, particularly international instruments, the UN Program of Action, the UN Firearms Protocol, the Arms Trade Treaty, the ECOWAS Convention. At the continental level, we have the silencing of the guns by 2020.
Legal scholar Dr. Ibrahim Abdullahi of the Usman Dan Fodio University, Sokoto, advocated adequate legislation and judicial intervention, while Dr. Michael Ogwe, a political scientist, sees the whistleblowing policy being introduced by the government on illegal arms as a right step in the right direction of mopping up illicit arms from the society.
Penalties provided for under the Firearms Act should equally be reviewed. For example, the issue of giving an option of fine for a person found to be in possession of firearms should be reviewed, so that you now have a stipulation whereby you give life imprisonment, and it should specifically be provided for that it should not be among the list of offenses that a pardon can be given. This will serve as a deterrent for anybody to attempt to be in possession of an illicit weapon.
We need to also improve the standard of living. People need to be sure that they're able to get food to eat. People must not be hungry, so hungry to the extent that they're pushed to go and look for arms or get food for themselves to eat. And people also need to be ensured that their lives are protected.
Head of the Anti-Terrorism Unit Nigeria Police, ACP Tolani Alausa, while acknowledging the enormity of the issue, said the police is working with other security agencies to tackle the menace.
We have men at the border patrol, but the checks is mainly by the customs and the immigration.
The guests were unanimous in suggesting that the citizens also have a role to play by feeding relevant agencies with information on gun running and illicit ownership of firearms. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Defeating drug traffickers requires the cooperation of international communities since the effects of illicit drugs cuts across. This was opposed at the workshop on use of Interpol policing capabilities in cocaine trafficking organized for law enforcement agencies in Abuja. Edino Justice reports that the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, in a message, challenged all law enforcement agencies to collaborate to end organized drug crimes in the country.
Though Nigeria is not listed among cocaine-producing countries, it is named among the transit points on cocaine routes, Latin America, the Caribbean, West Africa, through Europe. As traffickers are building and networking clandestinely to enrich their illicit trade, so must nations and their law enforcement agencies build capacities to identify, investigate, gather evidence to effectively prosecute drug trafficking and other related organized crimes. Inspector General of Police, represented by Deputy Inspector General of Police, Hyacinth Dangala, said the time to act is now using Interpol tools.
The Nigerian Police Force will continue to collaborate with the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency and other national agencies in its quest to ensure a crime-free border crossing using the Interpol tools in the fight against illicit drug trafficking and organized crime nationally and within the sub-region.
Between 2006 and 2015, the agency has made a seizure of about 17,612.94 kilograms of cocaine. So this tells you the magnitude of the problem.
This is an opportunity for cross-fertilization of ideas because we need the improved interagency relationship.
The training is supported by the European Union and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes.
In the last 2 years, over 22 tons of cocaine were seized en route from South America via West Africa to Europe in different countries.
So this training is just to prepare all of them in order for them to be able to work together, to know again how to operate these tools, how to access the databases that are provided by Interpol.
For the next 8 days, the participants drawn from various law enforcement agencies such as the police, EFCC, NDLEA, and customs will be engaged in sharpening their skills in cocaine investigation and prosecution with the common goals of a world less affected from organized drug trafficking. In Abuja, Edina Justice, NTA News.
A group of the 2014 National Conference delegates is appealing to the federal government to consider the report of the defunct conference for the benefit of the nation. This was during the reunion meeting of the delegates held in Abuja. Political correspondent Abdullahi Garba Birnin Kudu reports.
The 2014 National Conference was constituted by the government of former President Goodluck Jonathan to address what it calls issues of national importance emanating from divergent views of Nigerians. After the conference in 2014, nothing was done by even the past government that convened the conference towards consideration of the report. While the northern delegates recently kicked against the adoption of the report, the delegates at this meeting are calling for the consideration of the conference outcome. They cited issues of 5% budgetary allocation to prospect mineral resources, developing public-private partnership, and promoting science and technology sector, which some observers believe are part of the priorities of the current administration.
Science, engineering, and technology give nations the competitive
and developmental edge. We wouldn't say about 600 recommendations or plus. We're not saying implement every single one of them, but certainly some fundamental ones can be recommended, that can be implemented.
But the recommendations dealing with constitutional amendments, in my opinion, need urgent attention.
The meeting also threw its weight behind the report of the conference, which recommended the creation of additional 18 states on the basis of viability and historical antecedents of the areas. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
Time now to join Ademola in our Lagos Network Center for stories making the rounds in that zone. Good to see you, Ademola.
Good to see you too, Olajide. Good afternoon and warm welcome to Lagos. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says plans arrive to forge a strong partnership with the United Nations World Tourism Organization and other global agencies to promote Nigerian tourism, leveraging in its comparative advantage, which includes Nollywood, music and culture. The minister disclosed this at the annual general meeting of the Nigerian Association of Tour Operators, NATOP, in Lagos. Jane Ojuku has the report.
The minister explained that the present administration recognizes the potential of tourism to grow the economy, which informed the need to reposition the sector towards realizing this objective. He pointed out that the government requires partnership with all stakeholders, including the private sector, for the provision of the necessary skills, competencies and other requisites for growth and progress.
We continue to work with the private sector. We are working with both UNWTO and CNN to bring our film industry, our music industry into global limelight.
Former Governor Cross River State, Senator Leo Imoke, stated that Nigeria is endowed with resources that could make other countries grin with envy. All that is required, he said, is vision, right policies, infrastructure and positive attitude to make tourism a major revenue earner.
I always believe very strongly that the private sector should lead in the industry and the government should provide the strong support.
This year we focus on the future of tourism in Nigeria by creating the necessary platform and mainstreaming the youths.
Nigeria has a huge tourism market that is religious based. It's just that we need to encourage more people to come.
But we have agreed amongst ourselves, even including ANJET, to ensure that we drive tourism to the next level.
The event had as its theme positioning tourism within the Nigerian economic space. In Lagos, Jane Ujuku, NTA News.
Stakeholders in the business, real estate, infrastructure development and government agencies have assured Nigerians of their resolve to sustain the current reforms by government to make business and investment seamless and less cumbersome in the country. They gave this assurance at a Stakeholders Engagement Forum on the ease of doing business in Nigeria, organized by the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council in Lagos. Today, Saiki reports.
The Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council was established last year to fashion out ways of bringing out the country's economy out of the woods. In realizing this objective, the committee came up with a reform package on how to do business with ease in Nigeria. Part of the reform was the approval of a 60-day national action plan on ease of doing business in Nigeria. The Senior Special Assistant to the President on Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Uduwole, says so far the achievements on the reforms are encouraging.
As a country, we need to diversify away from oil because we have minerals, agriculture across the length and breadth of the country. And when you have a conducive and comfortable and friendly and welcoming business climate, then it makes it much easier for investors to broaden out.
So it's very important that we focus on the reform agenda as it impacts SMEs in Nigeria.
The stakeholders say the engagement forum is used to take stock of these achievements by the NDAs, states and the private sector on the ease of doing business in Nigeria.
To partner with you as well, as you are partnering with us, because we are here to do this business together. It cannot be done by one person.
In
in pursuit of that objective, it was also recognized that state governments actually have a critical role to play, particularly in the areas of construction permits as well as registration of property.
Your level of creditworthiness. And that creditworthiness, that score, is relying on the information in your credit reports.
Despite these success stories, stakeholders were challenged to be more proactive and sustain this tempo. In Lagos, Tunde Saiki, NTA News.
Well, that does it from Lagos. It's back to you, Olajide, for more on Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Ademola. And moving on now, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has implored Nigerians to channel their energies towards the development of the nation using their God-given talent. He was speaking at the inauguration of Dr. Anukaba Adinoye Ojo Endowment Fund in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
It was a solemn evening in honor of the late journalist, playwright, administrator, politician and scholar, Dr. Onukaba Adinoye Ojo. From the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity Garba Shehu, it was all positive tributes to the deceased, who was described as a true man of talent, a gifted professional, and a man who will always be remembered for the quality of his art and person.
Even if Ojo were living, he would be working for his family. He would try to give the best education to his children. That's why I initiated this educational fund.
Not that he didn't see or earn money. Whatever he earned, he spent it on people. So I can bet my last penny on the fact that he died leaving behind nothing, absolutely nothing.
It was the opinion of many of the guests that the late Onukaba Adinoye Ojo was not just a journalist but also an intellectual.
He has lived a very humble life, a life of a selfless service, a life dedicated to the service of humanity.
And the true meaning of a friend in need is a friend indeed. That's Ojo for you.
It's not everybody who passes on, and we have this kind of quality, attendance, this kind of diversity.
The emotional wife of late Ojo described his death as monumental.
For honoring my husband, may God always honor them.
Onukaba Adinoye Ojo was former managing director of the Daily Times and senior special assistant on media to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. He died recently during a robbery attack while traveling between Ogun and Kogi states. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The National Orientation Agency, NOAA, says it is seeking ways to upgrade its advocacy and maintenance of peace across the country. Director General NOAA, Garba Abari, said this at the presentation of the agency's 5-year strategic plan in Abuja. Olainka Ojo reports.
Being Nigeria's powerhouse that drives attitudinal change, which is the foundation for national change, NOA says the strategic plan is to foster the desired understanding and effective partnership between government and the people. Director General, National Orientation Agency, Garba Abari, noted that despite inadequate funds, the agency has recorded giant strides and observed that the new plan will better promote Nigeria's core values with a feedback platform.
Citizens are key, they are central. They shouldn't just be recipients of government policies. They shouldn't just be recipients of government information. They should be partners. They should have input. They should be engaged. They should engage themselves and interrogate government and interrogate government agencies.
Speaking on strategic plan for NOA 2017 to 2021, Dr. Otive Igbuzo said, vibrant democratic culture, citizens' responsibility through political and civic education, as well as dialogue mechanism on transparency, accountability, and good governance are necessary.
In terms of sustainability, the conception of the plan is built on sustainability, in that the plan itself is supposed to outlive this administration.
The implementation of the strategic plan will begin with the process of managing results at all levels through monitoring and impact assessment. In Abuja, Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Governor Lalong of Plateau State flags off sale of fertilizer to farmers. Let's join our Jos Network Center with details of these and other stories making the rounds in that zone.
Good afternoon and welcome to Jos. Governor Simon Lalong has flagged off the sale of fertilizer at subsidized rates for the 2017 farming season. Governor Lalong during the ceremony informed farmers that the state has been granted approval to blend 20,000 metric tons of fertilizer for distribution to farmers in the state. Paul Dama reports.
Simon Lalong said the product, which will be sold to registered farmers at a 50% discount, will have them pay 5,500 naira for a 50-kilogram bag. He says farmer registration is a continuous process, and as such, government has evolved better ways of ensuring that fertilizer and other government interventions in agriculture reach its targets.
Fertilizer is only one out of the numerous factors required if the agricultural sector is to be given a boost by any government. It must clearly define its role and provide all that is needed to create an enabling environment for the private sector to operate efficiently. Therefore, let me use this medium to enlighten farmers about our government interventions they may wish to take advantage of.
Chairman, Mikang Local Government Area, Mr. Ezekiel Pabret, said the early flag-off is a clear testimony of the governor's resolve to diversify the economy of the state.
This balance slide is timely and commendable, as it will go a long way in boosting the revenue profile of our local governments, in particular and the state in general.
The long-tail Donald Puntel said he is highly honored to have the events take place in his domain as he is hosting various stakeholders in the agricultural sector. From the College of Agriculture, Garkawa, Paul Dama, NTA News.
Governor Simon Lalong says his administration will continue to synergize with the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, KURU, to provide workable solutions to the numerous challenges confronting the state and the nation. The governor said this when participants of the Senior Executive Course 39 of the Institute paid him a courtesy call at the Government House, Little Rayfield. Paul Dama again reports.
Study Group 4 of the Senior Executive Course 39 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, KURU, are at present on a week-long study tour of Plateau State. The theme of their study is Science, Technology and Innovation for the Development of Agriculture and Agro-Allied Services in Nigeria. Governor Simon Lalong says the study is timely as it will help the state in its diversification drive and urged them to come up with ideas that will provide solutions on how best to process and preserve agricultural products to eliminate wastage.
We have the potentials and we are blessed, of course you already know, with the weather, we are blessed with very good arable soil, and so our advantage or disadvantages is how science is affecting us.
Leader of the team, Mr. Emmanuel Momman, who is also the Institute's librarian, explained that part of their study is to assess government's efforts, especially in the potato value chain and rice projects, which the state is known for.
We're highly impressed with what is happening, and we know that science, technology, and innovation with STI facilities are being employed in this venture.
He informed the governor that at the end of their study, their findings will be documented to enhance the use of science, technology, and innovation to boost agriculture in the state and the nation at large. In Jos, Paul Dama, NTA News.
The South Korean ambassador to Nigeria, Noh Kyu-duk, says to improve Nigeria's economy, government must invest heavily in its educational sector. This, the ambassador says, was how South Korea grew to being the 7th largest economy in the world within a short time. Biret Lot reports that Ambassador Duk articulated this in a public lecture at the main auditorium of the University of Jos.
The lecture tagged Growing the Nigerian Economy Through Nigerian Universities, South Korean Model, explored the challenges South Korea passed through and how their economy survived. Ambassador Noh Kyu-duk says even during the period of war, many children went to makeshift schools. He said his country has invested appreciable resources on Nigeria's economy through its electronic companies, thereby strengthening bilateral relations between the two countries.
As I mentioned in my the presentation, university students are the future leader of this country, and by communicating with the future leaders of this country about our experience of economic development and others, I think I can make a mutually beneficial contribution.
Vice Chancellor of the University of Jos, Professor Sebastian Memoko, said the visit is appropriate since the institution is in the process of setting up a vocational center.
Our special request is for the establishment of a vocational center to be domiciled at the Center for Entrepreneurship Studies.
The Republic of Korea gained independence from Japan in 1945 and has a population of about 40 million people with an unemployment level of 3.5%, while that of Nigeria stands at 13.9%. In Jos, Rinred Lot, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Jos. It's back to you, Olajide, for the rest of the news nationwide.
Many thanks, Ruth, there from our Jos Network Center. You can watch these news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Time to take a pause for some messages. The news continues in a moment. Don't go away.
From what we have seen, we have the capacity which we can rapidly develop or feed in ourselves. If we don't import rice, we stop importing corn and other grains, Nigeria will have plenty of money to invest into developing industries, especially manufacturing, textiles and so on, and develop iron and steel, and complement the infrastructure development. So really, the opportunities are virtually limited.
His Royal Highness the Emir of Dutse Alhaji Dr. Nuhu Muhammad Sunusi CON invites the general public to the Tabanin of Alhaji Nasir Haladi Dano as Dang Amanar Dutse on Friday 5th May 2017 by 10 a.m. at Emir's Palace Dutse, Jigawa State. A special dava will come on Thursday 4th May 2017 by 4 p.m. at Dutse 8 ground. Special guest of honor, His Majesty Professor Theophilus Prince will CFR Amanyanabo of Kalabari, Royal Father of the Day, Over Adeye Enitan Ogusi Ojaja II, Oni of Ife. Chief host, Alhaji Muhammad Badara Abubakar MON MNI, Governor, Jigawa State. Governors, members of National and State Assemblies, ministers and other important personalities are expected to grace the occasion. Announcer, Organizing Committee.
Olachi, come and receive your punishment.
I'm sorry, ma.
Olachi, come one.
I am something. You mostly depend on me for the smooth running of the domestic activities of your family.
Make sure you prepare food. That rug in the visitors' room.
Yes, ma.
Wash it thoroughly because that thing has been smelling.
I am a helper in your family and business. Many times you thank me with a slap.
I said it.
House help, gateman, sales girl, PA, and so on. This week, Professor John Bull takes a deep look at issues of assistance in life jackets. It is funny.
I doesn't want that.
This man, they look for who to give belly.
It is deep. Showing at 8:30 p.m. every Tuesday and Friday on NTA Network International and Star Times.
Over and out.
Brought to you by Glow.
Welcome to the new speed of life. Now, you can hold that dream occasion without stress. Horizon Caterers will provide answers to all your catering questions. Exquisite hall designs, mouth-watering and nourishing local and continental cuisine, suitable for all types of ceremonies, including weddings, AGMs, business luncheon, cocktails. Name it, we can bring it. Our chefs and executive waiters give your guests that unforgettable experience in service. Our service covers all states of the Federation. Call us today to book your occasions. 0805-502-9637, 0803-450-9726, 0909-9708-111. Horizon Caterers. Experience catering beyond the horizon.
TV Guide magazine is out with fabulous Fab Funke Akindele Bello, aka Jennifer, adorning the cover. She opens a secret not known even to her family. Find out the secret. NTA turns 40 this year. The challenges, the emerging trends in broadcasting, and the way forward. Weekend Dealer 2. Meet the team behind the biggest deal on NTA. Is food still the way to a man's heart? If not, what else? This edition is hot and juicy. Meet your star faces on screen. Entertainment, fashion, young minds, social media, and great personality.
This is idiosyncratic and heterodox.
Yes, Professor John Bull is on the radar. Find out what makes this program the rave of the moment on NTA Network. And for the Prof,
over and out.
TV Guide. Ask your vendors or book your copy at every NTA station nationwide. TV Guide. Still your indispensable companion.
Admission forms for the 2017-2018 academic session of NTA Television College JAWS into its diploma programs are now on sale. The diploma programs are in film and TV production, broadcast journalism, and TV engineering technology. Applicants are required to have at least 5 credits, including English language and mathematics at SSC, NECO, or GCO levels in not more than 1 sitting. Application forms can be obtained from the TV College Refi JAWS or at any NTA zonal centers nationwide on payment of a no-refundable fee of 7,500 naira in bank draft in favor of NTA Television College. Completed application forms should be returned to the Office of the Academic Secretary, NTA Television College, or the Center of Purchase on or before 28th of July 2017. For further inquiries, please call 0806 980 9807 or 0703 660 7155. NTA Television College, training you to be the best you can be.
Many thanks for being there, and if you're just joining us, this is NTA News Nationwide. To mitigate the impact of road traffic crashes and ensure that adequate measures are put in place for prompt response and efficient rescue of victims, the Federal Road Safety Corps has organized a pre-hospital trauma life support training in Abuja. Aliu Tukur has details.
With the increase in motorization and dependence on road transportation, the possibility of road traffic crashes cannot be ruled out. Rescue operations such as this is an integral component of the duties of the Federal Road Safety Corps.
As part of its efforts to enhance the capacity of its personnel, the FRSC has organized a pre-hospital trauma life support training in order to expose its patrolmen to the modern techniques of safe crash victims handling.
The Corps Marshal says the training is necessary as the 2017 strategic goals of the Corps include achieving an improved post-crash care, which will further reduce crashes by 15% and fatality by 25%.
The implication of this is that we need to train our personnel and ensure that, especially on trauma, that we're trained.
Now make sure that this training is continuous.
At the end of the training, scheduled to last 4 weeks, officers are expected to be equipped with skills on how to manage crash victims according to global best practices. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
When natural or human-made disasters occur in our state, emergency management experts in Canada says it is the duty of the citizens and the government to respond collectively. Joy Osiago turns her camera lens on a Nigerian medical doctor and a victim of the Fort McMurray wildfires as he talks about the lessons from the act of bravery by Canadians.
Nigerian-born Dr. Edward Denga is a family physician in Fort McMurray, Alberta, considered to be the heart of one of Canada's major oil production hub. The diverse and multicultural communities suffered a major wildfire disaster in the first week of May 2016. Tens of thousands fled south in heavy traffic as the fires engulfed the town and major roads out of Alberta. Canada, as a nation, took up the challenge to support the victims of the inferno in the province.
We were able to go through the fire, literally, and we were spared, and we were well looked after by friends and by so many other people.
From the support that we've seen from Canadians across the country, engage in all sorts of different ways, firefighters coming from all across the country to help, is that there is no need to accept any international assistance at this point, but we certainly thank everyone for their generosity.
Officials are working on a transitional housing plan. We've already had some preliminary conversations, as I said, with the universities. We know that there's residences that are available, so those are our preliminary options. There's other options that are being considered as well in terms of short-term apartments. We've already had some actual property management companies offer up 3 months free rent.
If they were not here, I don't know where we would be, because we lost our house, we lost everything, but we didn't lose our spirit.
I was separated from my family. They were still in Timberlea, so I didn't get them here until about 4 o'clock.
It is the first anniversary of the wildfires. The victims are back to the community, full of gratitude, as the province of Alberta celebrate the first responders.
We saw an incredible demonstration of what I call an old-fashioned word, neighborliness. Some prefer the word love.
Dr. Denga suggests that other nations prone to disasters, not necessarily wildfires, but other challenging issues that may lead to displacement of citizens from their homes, can learn a lesson or two from the Canadian experience.
The fact that 88,000 people were moved from a city to safety is absolutely amazing. It takes a village to raise a child, we've been told. So I literally saw that happen in this situation where everybody worked together and not just thinking about themselves, not just I, but us together, because we're a community and together we can achieve more, we can do more.
Joy Usiago, NTA News.
Farmers in Benue State to access fertilizer for bumper harvest as the Taraba State government implements new methods to boost agriculture. Details of these with Pam standing by at our Makadi Network Center.
Welcome to Makudi. Farmers in Benue State will soon start accessing fertilizers from the Makudi blending plant. This follows the completion of work on the plant, which was given out as a concession to a private investor by the state government. Achigili Magaji reports that Governor Samuel Otom, who inspected work on the plant, expressed satisfaction.
Benue State occupies a prime position in the food production index of the country. However, it is yet to meet its full potential despite the varieties of farm produce that are churned out in large quantities. One of the challenges facing the sector is inadequate inputs such as fertilizers to boost food production. The completion of work on the plant is seen as a good development.
The plant has undergone test production and they are ready for commissioning. I'm told that within 1 week it will be ready for commissioning. So we do not need to go very far to begin to obtain fertilizer for our...
At the plastic industry, the governor noted that very soon, prices of various ranges of plastic products will reduce when the factory starts producing. He said some of the machines being installed at the plants are the outcome of his trips to China. The governor also inspected farm implements supplied by the National Emergency Management Agency to those displaced by crisis in the state. Other projects inspected are fish ponds, fish hatchery, and feed mill for the production of various types of animal feeds. In Makudi, Achigili Magaji, NTA News.
And from Taraba State, government says it is committed to implementing new methodologies for boosting agricultural practice and output for farmers. Awal Abdullahi reports that the Deputy Governor Haruna Manu said this while receiving members of Course 39 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies during a study tour of the state.
It
2017 Senior Executive Course team from the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru, visited some notable agro-allied project sites as part of the study tour. Led by Ambassador Adamu Abbas, the team visited the state government's Green Farm project, a fertilizer blending plant fabricated by an engineering staff of the Nigerian Television Authority, Abraham Kadon, and the National Biotechnology Development Agency, where they expressed satisfaction with what they saw.
The machine that he uses there to produce fertilizer and even semo from corn.
They also visited the Jalingo Local Government Secretariat, where the council chairman Alhaji Abdul Nasir Boboji explained some of the local initiatives that have been improving and boosting production in agriculture. Later at the Kosi call on the state deputy governor, the team leader, Ambassador Adamu Abbas, said the reports of their finding on the agricultural potentials of the state will be made available to the presidency. The deputy governor, Haruna Manu, said the state government is already in partnership with investors to cultivate rice on a scale that will meet the nation's demand.
In terms of agriculture, we'll be able to take this country to the next level.
The members of the team rounded off their study tour to Taraba State with a visit to the Mambila Plateau in Jalingo. Awal Abdullahi, NTA News.
And that will be it from Makurdi. It's back to Abuja for the rest of Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Many thanks, Pam, there. Living just for today without any plans for tomorrow as regards the environment. May spell doom for posterity. To this end, the Federal Ministry of Environment is engaging climate change advocates and the academia on the climate mitigation and adaptation. Mia Ogidi reports.
Participating in the 2015 Paris Convention on Climate Change, President Muhammadu Buhari made a special provision in the 2016 budget to mitigate climate change in Nigeria. Leveraging on this commitment, backed by Article 6 of the UN Framework Convention, which mandates country parties to engage in education and access to climate information, the Ministry of Environment launched a knowledge fair on climate change.
With the signing of the Paris Agreement, it has become nationally determined contribution. You know, in that particular document, we committed to reducing emissions by 20% below business as usual by the year 2030, unconditionally.
Seated here are some of the best brains in the climate change sector to develop literatures on climate change mitigation and adaptation.
The individual level, yes, you can plant a tree, you can raise public awareness, you can gather people and teach them about the effects of the environment and ask them to do something. They are afforestation, reforestation, agroforestry at the individual level. In terms of energy, you switch off your light when you don't need it.
Findings at this meeting will be a guiding document in sensitizing the public on activities that are unfriendly to the environment. Mia Ogede, NTA News.
The Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NULGE, says the quest for local government autonomy in the country is to ensure rapid infrastructural development in rural communities. Chairman of NULGE in Nasarawa State, Abubakar Abdullahi, said this in the quest for good governance and meeting people's aspirations. Joshua Ojito has the details.
While addressing representatives of local government workers across the 13 local government areas of Nasarawa State, Chairman of Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NULGE, in the state, Abubakar Abdullahi, explained that the autonomy for the third tier of government will address challenges confronting not only workers but rural dwellers as well.
When the local government autonomy is in presence, you don't even need to complain, because every local government will take care of staffs and otherwise.
He, however, commended the administration of Governor Umaru Tankal Makura in Nasarawa State for touching the lives of rural dwellers through the constructions and reconstructions of bridges and culverts in the hinterlands for easy access of rural dwellers to urban centers. On salary of local government workers in the state, NULGE chairman appealed to workers to be patient with government, considering the prevailing economy, assuring them that all arrears will be paid when the economy improves. The union leader debunked insinuations in some quarters that the Paris Club refund for the state was misappropriated, emphasizing that 3 billion naira meant for the local government councils in the state was judiciously used to augment payment of salaries. Other members who contributed during the interactive session pledged their total support and loyalty to the present administration of Governor Makura in Nasarawa State, considering numerous developmental projects executed in the state. In Lafia, Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
There are calls for active involvement of the private sector in employment generation in closing the existing gaps of poor workers' remuneration for industrial harmony and growth. Talatu Ezurike reports that this was part of submissions on NTA's Current Affairs program, Tuesday Live.
Globally, government and workers do have frictions that often result in strikes or protest, which in turn undermines industrial harmony or trust. Analysts say topmost concern for workers in Nigeria is an increase in the minimum wage of 18,000 naira to meet modern-day realities.
A state is telling us it is unable to pay, but it is able to take all the perquisites for the governor, for the state members of the state houses that are at par across the country, the same. And there is no confusion, there's no problem. They have chosen to downplay the issue of workers' entitlements.
I will beg NLC to look at the pay of the local government workers and the teachers in this country. They are those who are worst off. If they can get their 18,000 minimum wage as at when due, they will be satisfied.
A divergent opinion emphasizes objectivity on the part of workers in view of the federal government bailout funds to states.
It is easy for the working class to point accusing finger at the political class that comes and goes. What about the working class that has been there for the past 30 years, 60 years? You only hear about issues that border on their welfare, salary. What happens to Nigeria?
There are conditions of service that must be looked at if we want to belong to the present world. And the question has been, should we downsize to be able to raise standard?
Entrenching effective price control, many believe, will help in strengthening their government-workers relationship.
If government should be able to control the price of produce, then the civil servant could as well manage.
There are strong belief that the Muhammadu Buhari-led government will continue to give the labor force the needed support in building a vibrant economy. Talatu Ezurike, NTA News.
More than 50 miners trapped in a coal mine in Iran after an explosion, just as at least 8 people killed in a suicide attack on convoy belonging to NATO mission in Kabul, Afghanistan. So-called Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack. And ahead of the May 7 runoff election in France, Le Pen and Macron to face 20 million French viewers in a TV debate seen as the climax of the 2017 presidential election campaign. For reports on Global Tidbits, let's join Ronke Kolawole.
News from Kenya says religious leaders have castigated political leaders for wasting the people's money and resources to procure votes ahead of the August 8 general elections at a time when the country suffers the worst food crisis in decades. The leaders urged Kenyans to vote for God-fearing leaders with integrity who have interest in national growth. In Somalia, government troops backed by Ethiopian soldiers serving with African Union forces have recaptured South Central District from Al-Shabaab soldiers who had already fled the district before the arrival of the troops. As the United Kingdom, UK and European Union (EU) clash over the financial implication for Britain to exit the Union, Brexit Secretary David Davis says his country will not pay a €100 billion divorce bill, but will pay what is legally due in line with the country's rights and obligations. The EU chief negotiator says inasmuch as the Union wants a cordial severance, Britain's account must be settled. For Global Tidbits, Ronke Kolawole, NTA News.
The edition of University Games yet to get host as Ronaldo records 103 UEFA Champions League goals. Amanzi Marcus has details in Sport Update.